Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today's video we're going to look at recent sales on eBay for vintage Star Wars mint on cards. That's kind of my usual MO here if you're new to the channel. If you are new, consider subscribing. And I also do have a Patreon page where I send out buy it now alerts or auction alerts for items on eBay that just get listed, and my Patreons get first dibs at those. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up for as little as $1 a month. All right, so let's take a look at some recent mint on card sales. We're going to start off with a 12-inch figure. This is the only 12-inch figure. We do have a few kind of accessory type items, like mini rigs and things like that, but mainly mint on cards in this video. But this 12-inch Princess Leia mint and seal box AFA 80 plus, and it sold for $680, which, I mean, that to me seems very low. That feels like a very, very low price to me. This seller I have dealt with in the past, very good seller, and I don't know why this one sold so low. I mean, it just feels like a really low sale for an AFA 80 plus mint and sealed box 12-inch Leia. 80, 85, 85 were the sub scores on that. That to me feels like a bargain. I was thinking like 900 to 1,000 was kind of my estimate for where that one would sell. On the other end of the spectrum is this one, the debut card for the Hoth Imperial Stormtrooper, unpunched admittedly, no price sticker. It did have kind of a weird scratch or dent or something to the left of the hang tab, maybe some light litho issues there, but it sold for $1,625? Huh? What? That number is insane. That's a very, very high number. Very high. I mean, I could see it for a very high grade AFA 85 type thing for this particular figure. The debut card is desirable for the Hoth Imperial Stormtrooper, but not at that price. That price feels way too high to me. Way too high. I do think it would grade very well. I think it would probably grade in the 80 ballpark, maybe an 80 plus, depending on the grader and the mood. But $1,625 is not a number I'd pay. Not a number I'd pay for one where you're taking the grading risk. And we talk about that a lot on the channel. It's like, okay, a 32B Yoda, the debut card for Yoda. This is a debut card for the Hoth Stormtrooper. The debut card for Yoda is so plentiful that I would take the grading risk, buy one ungraded that looks super clean, send it in to be graded, and see what you get. Versus the price premium that you have to pay for a graded 32B Yoda on the open market. That price can get nuts, right? We talked about the Hakes AFA 90 single score, old label AFA that sold for like $16,000, which is insane. No way I pay that. The same situation applies for something like this, where, if the price discount you get for an item that's ungraded versus the price premium you got to pay for a graded example, and I would argue that this price is the price you'd pay for a graded example. I mean, I wouldn't pay anywhere near that price for an ungraded example, even if it's super clean, like this one seems to be. I mean, I think this one gets an 80 or 80 plus. But $1,625 is too much. That's probably an overpay, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, of course. I think this is max $1,000 mint on card, max, personally. All right, so we got an AFA 80 31 back B Lando, unpunched, no price sticker. That sold for $557. Pretty good deal there. That to me feels like a really good deal for a graded one. It did have a crack on the case that you can see there on the back. So, you'd have to get this recased, but I don't think the grade would change. It's a very, very nice example. And $557 is pretty fair deal. You can see that the case is cracked there on the back side. So you're getting a little bit of a discount there. I think that, if the case was in good shape, this is probably what, $650, $700, somewhere in that ballpark. Next up, the 47 back Forlom offer Bosk. I think as of the making of this video, I think there is one on the Hakes Jeff Jacob collection part 1. I'm pre-filming this because I'm going to Guatemala. All right. So this is getting filmed for while I'm going sail fishing in Guatemala next month. But this is a yellowed example, the AFA 85. I'm curious to see what that one ends up going for. But this is a tough one to find. Clear blister, especially. I mean, it's tough to find, period, as you can tell by this price. It sold for $500, even with the yellowed blister. Nice unpunched example, though. I think this grades a yellowed probably 80 minimum. 80 plus, somewhere in that ballpark. But anyway, going back to the Jeff Jacobs, I can't wait to see what that one sells for. The clear blister for this particular character card back combo is almost never clear. And he's got one. So I'm curious to see what that AFA 85 sells for. 502, though, just shows you how hard it is to find that particular card back for Bosk. This was a 41E Imperial Commander. Pretty common combo, the 41E. That one sold for $291. That was an AFA 75. But here's the big one. Now, this seller has really terrible feedback. I went and looked through the feedback. He's only got 20 transactions, but the feedback was not good, okay? So I wouldn't feel comfortable buying it, but somebody paid $12.25 for the AFA 75. Letty, 30 back, and very cool item. $12.25 is on the lower end of where I would expect it to go. I was thinking like $1,600 to $1,800, somewhere in that ballpark. But it also is a seller that has not gotten very good feedback, and so take that for what you will. But anywho, this was an interesting one. This is the Kenner Canada 45 back Star Wars Display Arena offer C-3PO. Now, on the U.S. card, I don't think that the 3PO removable limbs was available, right? The debut card for the U.S. is the 47 back Forlom offer. But this is cool. This is cool. This is the Kenner Canada, and I would assume the debut card. And you can see the French language on there, and the French language on the offer. AFA yellowed 80. I kind of expected this one, quite honestly, to go for more, even though it was yellowed. It sold for $459, but I was thinking it would go for more because it's a foreign card back, foreign debut card back, and this particular card back, the 45 back, they didn't have this C-3PO removable limbs available for that. I'm going on memory, okay? So if I'm wrong on that, don't kill me in the comments, but please do leave me a like. I'm pretty sure that the Forlom offer is the first debut card on the U.S. for the C-3PO. Anywho, that one did sell for $459. This was an AFA 85 for the Death Star Droid 65 back B clear blister, as they often do stay. I've got a clear blister 65B Death Star Droid, but this is an AFA 85, and it sold for $1,000, which I was really surprised by. I thought it could sell. I thought there was a chance because there were a number of watchers on it. It also has 3 85 subscores, 3 straight AFA 85 subscores on this one. So, it's probably pretty low on the pop report. It certainly was a very, very nice example. It looks like it had a little bit of the hang tab is starting to fall out a little bit, but still, give me a break. Very, very nice example, and it did sell at $1,000. It sat for a couple days, but it did sell. Here is the mini rig or Ewok Combat Glider. I kind of throw this in with the mini rigs, but Ewok Combat Glider, it was mint and seal box. It did have a litho tear on the top of the box there, so it sold for cheap, $140.50. And same seller also had the Chewbacca Bandolier action figure carrying case strap. That one did not have any fold on the flap. Did have a kind of a dink in some of the corners, but so it wasn't perfect. Still probably a 75 grade, somewhere in there. But a very nice example, mint and sealed box, $203.50 on that one. And they also had the Size Snoodles and Rebo Band. That one sold for $375. It did unfortunately have the flap crease, which we're kind of known for. And there's the front of it there. Presents pretty nice. Probably a 75 would be my guess on that. $375 seems like a fair deal for that. A couple of different squid heads sold. I was surprised by this sale. This one was a 77 back A squid head. Clear blister, admittedly. Unpunched, no price sticker. $415 though. I mean, that's kind of the price you see for a graded example. It did have a pinch on the blister as well. You can see right there to the right of the figure, it had a weird little pinch there, probably from overheating when they were sealing it to the card. Because sometimes they overheated the seals and it caused those weird pinches, usually on ESB card backs. But $415 seems a little high to me. And then this one I sent out to my Patreons. I thought this was a fair deal. This was from a seller in the UK that I've dealt with and, always has nice stuff for fair prices. This was a made in Mexico squid head, UKG 80%. So this is not to be confused with this one. This one is the 77A Hong Kong. This one is the 77 back made in Mexico. And you can kind of see on the back there how it's kind of like a faded matte finish versus the US card that's much brighter and glossier. Lens 1, lens 2, lens 1, lens 2. So you can see that. And then also, my brother's an optometrist, so I'm making an optometrist joke. Made in Mexico in the lower left there. And there often is a punch through the back of the card. You can see it right there where it says Return of the Jedi. There's a little punch that goes through to the back of the card. That is factory applied. So don't freak out if you have a Made in Mexico card back with a little hole in the back. That was applied by the factory. But very nice example, UKG 80%, made in Mexico, Lily Letty, clear blister, and it was listed for 225 pounds, which is $277. So $277 for a Lily Letty, or you could pay $415 for the more common US card, which admittedly was unpunched and pretty nice, but not $415 nice. I think you can probably pick this up, even clear blister, you can probably pick this up sub $300 pretty easily if you're patient. Next up, this was a beauty from another seller in the UK that I cover a lot, and I bought from also. This was an AFA 85 31 back B Luke Bespin, unpunched, no price sticker, clear blister, AFA 85. Archival case, too. Straight 85s. And it sold for 931 pounds, which is $1,147. That's a bargain. Okay, that went way too cheap. I was thinking $1,500 to $1,600. If you ended up getting that for $1,147, great deal. That's a very, very good deal for an AFA 85. Same seller also had an AFA 80 Tri-Logo Lando unpunched KB Toys price sticker. That one sold for $412.99 or 335 pounds. They had the Klaatu Skiff Guard outfit Tri-Logo, unpunched, no price sticker, UKG 85. That sold for 377 pounds, which is $465. Klaatu, we talked about him lately. Klaatu on a high-grade example, whether it's the regular or the skiff, seems to be very desirable. You know, people are paying up for those. Very nice. Here was the R5D4 unpunched AFA 80. That one sold for 537 pounds, which is $662 US dollars. I would venture to say if this had been listed in the US, you could probably safely say that it would have sold for over $900 because we've seen that already. So that was a good deal. That was a very fair deal. Etched blister type. You can see the etched grooves in the corner of that one. Very, very nice example, though. Hard to find that one unpunched. Very nice. But, you know, very reasonable price. This seller had some beautiful Power of the Force MOCs that were very high grade. I sent these out to a number of you guys through Patreon, and hopefully some of y'all want them. They were very nice. This one was the Barada, very high grade, $295 on that one. Now, we just documented in a recent video an AFA 75 that sold for, I forgot the number already, but CIB had it, so I think it was $455. And what did I say in that video? I said, if you're patient, you can find one ungraded in better than 75 grade and get it graded yourself, and boom, there you go, instead of overpaying for an AFA 75. And this is an example of that. I just proved it, right? I think this one would grade an 80 or an 80 plus, maybe even an 85 grade. I mean, this is a very high grade example, right? Pretty safely say it's an 80, okay? Certainly higher than a 75. Now, again, that AFA 75 sold for $455. I'm going on memory. This one sold for $295, and it's a better example. So don't overpay on some of those auctions. Here is the Emperor. I thought this one went for a song and a dance. The Emperor on the Power of the Force card in high grade is very expensive, typically. This one, I think, would grade very well as well. It had a little scuff or something up there on the hang tab, but probably an 80 very easily. That one sold for $345. We've seen AFA high-grade examples go for double that price, $600-700. So that was another good buy. And then here was the General Lando. This one was probably the best condition of the lot, and probably would pretty safely grade an 80 plus, if not an 85. That one sold for $500, which I can understand why. That one was very, very nice and very high grade. Speaking of rare and expensive and high, very fairly high grade, this is the Gamorrean Guard on the Power of the Force card, AFA 75. This was only available, I believe, in Australia and New Zealand. This one, the Nikto, the AT-AT driver, those are very, very pricey on the Power of the Force card, as you can see by that final sales price of $31.50. And I think that was a fair price, quite honestly. It's very, very tough to find that one. Very, very pricey, very rare. And I think I know who bought this one. Don't quote me on that one. CB, if it was you, congrats, man. That was a great, great buy. Next up was an AFA 85 Plus Droids R2-D2, unpunched, no price sticker, 1 of 1 apparently on the population report. Straight 85s, AFA 85 Plus. That one sold for $16.28. Again, a very fair price. We've seen AFA 85s go for that price. This was an 85 Plus for about the same price. Very fair. Great deal. And then finally was an AFA 80 Plus Jan Tosh, unpunched. No price sticker. That one sold for $3.21. Again, probably in line with market, just given the high grade. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look. Don't forget to leave me a like if you did enjoy the video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.